Hey everybody, today I'm going to be doing a review on Limecrime's The Venus Palette, and this has been dubbed the ultimate grunge palette. Before I get full-fledged into this review, I just want to put the disclaimer out there about how I personally feel about the Limecrime company. I have been purchasing from them for quite a many years, and I was purchasing from them when they first had their eyeshadows, and that was a whole problem in and of itself. So yes, the company has a lot of flaws, and I do not personally agree with their business practices. And if you'd like to know more about their business practices or why I feel the way I do, please leave a comment below and we can have a discussion about it. Other than that, let's start the review. So, the Limecrime Venus palette, there you go, features a very classic painting, the Aphrodite painting, but of course it's been edited with doe deer's blue hair. So when you open it up, this is unlike her other palettes. Her other palettes were in the metallic purple tints. She has stepped away from that to create this, and it has no brush or applicator, but it does feature a very generous sized mirror, and it features only 8 shades. So you can obviously get other shadows for a cheaper price, but if you're looking to get them all in one palette with the packaging, because always it's about the packaging a lot of the times. I am wearing these products on my eyes right now, and I'm going to have a picture of this eye look at the very end. I applied Shell all over the lid. I also applied Venus into my crease. I applied Muse to my outer V, and I applied Aura underneath my brow bone. So I did use quite a few shades when experimenting with this product. I have experimented with all of these shades. I found they blended phenomenally good. They were a little bit powdery when you first apply them. There is a little bit of fallout, but they were not the worst to work with. They lived up to their price point. In terms of pigmentation, they were highly pigmented, which was a shock for me, considering a lot of the time they do Photoshop their swatches, but with Instagram they were showing live swatches, and you know what, those swatches did live up, since these shades really did perform well. So I'm going to swatch these up in the back of my hand for you guys now, and there's going to be picture swatches at the very end. So if you miss anything or you want to see a closer up of that picture, I want to see a closer up of that shade, fret not, it will all be at the end of the video. And I'm also going to have a picture of these swatches on my Instagram, so you have that. So let's start with Venus. And this is called a grunge palette because it features a lot of red and earthy tones, which was really big in the grunge period. It's very easy to work with, even though reds can be typically a little bit harder to work with on the eye, because of the tone of them, because of the tone of these shades, they're a little bit more wearable. So if you look at this and you're like, I could never pull that off, you could, because these are pretty much the most neutral based reds that I've ever seen. Now Shell is a really pretty color. This is great even if you're not going for a grunge look. It's a smooth shade that has a nice bit of reflection to it. It has a golden reflection to it with a peach base. So overall it's just a quite pretty shade that is great for all over the lid, great for highlighting, great for pop of color, depending on what direction you want to go, and it definitely softens up the other darker shades in this palette. The next shade is Aura. And Aura is another great highlighting shade, another shade that really separates the palette up. It gives it a little bit of brightness and lightness. You can use this shade as a transitional shade. It has a little bit of a reflection. It's great for lightening the other shades. It blends well, and it's highly pigmented, but it can be sheared out to be used as a highlighter, for example, under the brow, which is what I did today. Then we have Creation, which is a deep, very pigmented brown, but you can see there's still a little bit of red in it, and just this row alone you can start to see how you can absolutely get a very neutral look going on, even if you only used Shell, Aura, and Creation. Creation is that matte shade. Now the bottom row, we have even more wearable shades in my opinion. We have Icon, which is a deep matte chocolate brown, very pigmented, very smooth. Then we have Rebirth, and this is a little bit darker than Shell. Well, it's more like a medium peach, but it definitely leans pink. You can see how these two colors can create a very feminine shade, these 3 shades. Then there's Divine, and Divine, I really liked the shade. It's a gray. It's a grayed shade, but it has a little bit of almost purple in it. It's like a grayed purple. It's definitely a desirable shade. Kind of remind me of like Exclusive Vent lipstick. It's that gray, but it definitely pulls really nice on a lot of skin tones. And last up is Muse. And this again I feel has a little bit of a purple base to it. A little bit of a purple base to it. So you can see a lot of these shades when you start to see them applied on the skin. You can get a lot of looks from them, neutral looks, smoky looks. The whole idea of the grunge look was it was supposed to be a very messy, smoky shadow. A lot of neutrals, a lot of deep, rich browns. Brown was really big in the 90s, so a lot of deep, rich browns. She took it into different directions by adding that little bit of red, but I think she's taking that from the whole notion of everybody was wearing flannel, because I personally don't recall red shadow or anything red leaning in the drugstore or available from other retails. I don't remember that being available. So I feel like she got inspired with Venus and Muse. I feel like those two shades are really, really inspired by the 90s and the grunge ideals, but not a direct pull. Whereas the other shades I can see are a direct pull, because these are all shades that you would have seen in the 90s. You would have seen those kinds of shades in the 90s. So I don't understand how she connects this to grunge, because blue hair was typically more prominent in the goth or punk communities, whereas the grunge was a little bit more laid back. Like, from what I recall about people who were grunge, they didn't even wash their hair, let alone dye it. The people who were dyeing their hair were the punks and the goths and those kind of subcultures. So I think she's a little bit confused on her subculture history, but she hits the mark with this product overall. Whatever she was inspired by, I think she did a good job. These colors really work well together. I was happy working with them. I loved being able to create some looks with them. By the way, doing a smoky look using just the darker colors like this one, and this one, just phenomenal. Even the gray, even the creating looks, my favorite looks to create were Divine, Muse, and Aura, or Venus, Rebirth, Shell, Creation and Icon, and Divine. You can get a lot of good patterns here, and depending on how you apply them, you can get a lot of looks from everyday to full-on grunge to nighttime to smoky to even just what I'm wearing today, which is my everyday. So you do have a lot of options with this palette. Yes, it is kind of monotone, so if you're looking to really try a whole bunch of different colors, this obviously is not your type of palette, but if you're looking to stick within one type of range, this is a good option. I can't say too many bad things about it, honestly. So anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my Fashions Less Beauty blog and follow me on Instagram. I'm Recycled Stardust.